Welcome back to Desperate Living. Now today I'm going to look at a box set that I've been meaning to cover for quite a while, and if I'm being honest, I've also been avoiding it for quite a while. It's this one, Bloody Legend, the complete Cliff Twemlow collection. Now this is a slightly problematic thing for me because I do have some connection to this particular collection and to the feature film Mancunian Man that's included, the feature documentary. I suppose it's kind of put me off looking at it for some reason. And it's a shame because I do love Cliff Twemlow's movies. I love Cliff Twemlow's life. I did a great deal of research, interviewed a lot of the people involved in his movies, and the fact that this exists is nothing short of remarkable. When we look at movies that have been resurrected on Blu-ray, then there are lots of box sets from directors, and some of them, titles that Severin have put out, for instance, Al Adamson, Andy Milligan, people like that, are absolutely fantastic, thorough collections of filmmakers that you never thought would have had that sort of treatment. Cliff Twemlow, the closest I can see to this is the Indicator box set of Michael J. Murphy films. He was also a director who worked entirely independently, again in the UK, making movies that nobody saw, nobody had heard of, and that's certainly the case with Cliff Twemlow, who is best known for the film GBH. You might recognise the cover art if you're a fan of such things, which became a kind of second division video nasty in the early 80s when all sorts of films were being seized. And as far as most people knew, I think, that's all he'd done. But as it turned out, he'd done loads of films, few of which had ever been seen. The odd one might get some kind of international distribution. A European distributor might pick it up and put it out on tape. Few of them appeared in his own country, the UK, and yet he was, I was going to say one-man band. He had his little group of actors, of production assistants, of directors. He wasn't the man who directed films generally. He was the star, the writer, the genius behind them. But he was churning stuff out in Manchester and going completely unnoticed. For the movies to be out now, and in this particular box we have 11 feature films. 11! Across 9 Blu-rays. Also contains the documentary Mancunian Man, the poster for which is here. It's a thorough examination of the life and career of Cliff Twemlow. But what else do we have on here in terms of actual Cliff Twemlow movies? Well, let's go through bit by bit. So Cliff Twemlow was a Manchester bouncer, bodybuilder, music composer, and a film enthusiast. Somebody who thought that there was no reason why somebody with no experience whatsoever and seemingly no real connections in the film industry to not start his own production company and grind out populist exploitation movies. I'm not sure he would have thought of them as exploitation movies. I'm not sure if that was something that he really had in mind, but you know, he's making action films, gangster movies, there's horror movies, there's science fiction movies. So it's all very genre-based stuff. GBH is one of the most extraordinary films you'll ever see. It's so unlike anything else. It's genuine outsider filmmaking. It's a weird tale of Manchester gangland violence, with Twemlow playing Mike Donovan, who's a bouncer who's been released from prison, finds himself up against various villains who've come up from down south to try and put the squeeze onto the Manchester club world. Donovan's having none of that, and then in between shagging hot birds, he's taking out the trash.
Keller's back. Took over the Rainbow Rooms last night. Chevy's came in on the doorman, wiped the floor with it.
When I say go, you'll cripple the bastard.
It's my club next, the zoo. If Keller wants something, he takes it.
I want that club, do you understand?
Nobody can stand up to Keller. There is one man who can stand up to him.
Oh yeah, who's that?
The Mancunian.
type, huh?
Didn't know it was showing.
Now we're really gonna work out.
You don't look very tough to me.
Who do you expect? Charles Bronson.
You look old. Too old.
I see I'm too old.
Nobody tells Big Nick Rafferty when he's had enough to drink.
Didn't know this was a gay bar.
It isn't.
What about those two pups there then?
Not for the squeamish.
It's magnificent, weirdly homoerotic, not shot in the way that you would expect any conventional film to be made, hugely entertaining nevertheless, and sets the scene for what's to come and what we have on this box set. It's why I should point out that this is not going to be for everybody. Even if you think that you're a fan of indie weird cinema, this might be a bit much. And I say that because I've looked at some of the reviews of this and that's what people are effectively saying. They struggle with this because these are, even by the standards of, say, a Andy Milligan, these are weird. So let that sink in for a moment. So what movies do we have on here? We have Tuxedo Warrior, which is based on Cliff Twemlow, based on the book by Cliff Twemlow. So he's not actually the star of this one. But it's a good intro to him as an action character, I suppose.
But Tuxedo Warrior doesn't go looking for trouble. He is trouble. From million-dollar casinos
I'll play these.
to the deadly jungles of untamed Africa. He mixes danger with desire.
Oh, I love you.
The exotic with the erotic. Tuxedo Warrior. One part fighter. One part lover.
What you can't have, you destroy.
Nobody's got a past. Nobody's got a future.
He's one man against the odds. It's a high-stakes game where everyone bets their life.
Driver, we're both dead. Drive!
Tuxedo Warrior. He'll blow you a kiss, then he'll blow you away.
Most importantly, we have GBH. There's the original VHS sleeve, which comes with assorted versions. It's got alternative credit sequences. It's got the legendary Tomorrow's World TV special on his ambitious horror movie The Pike, which was going to star Joan Collins and a giant mechanical pike that was even less effective than the shark in Jaws. And of course, the film never actually got made. So this is one of the titles on this set that I have a involvement in on this, doing an audio commentary with Brian Sterling Reet. The interesting thing about Cliff Twemlow is that he seemed to inspire huge loyalty with all those he worked with. Most of them will not say a bad word about him, even though there's evidence to suggest that he wasn't necessarily the nicest guy all the time. Some of the people that have been involved with his films that are not part of his clique. I've been a bit less complimentary about him than others have, but that's all part of the Twemlow mystery, I suppose. I mean, he was a Manchester bouncer working in nightclubs that had criminal connections. The idea that he would be some kind of lovely guy is probably a little bit naive, but he seems to be genuinely loyal to his friends, and obviously he loved making movies. So the next disc contains Target Eve Island, which is certainly one of his more obscure titles, and the Ibiza Connection, which is another one that I've done a commentary on with the director Howard Arundel. Ibiza Connection is also pretty wild. It's quite deranged. The next disc contains African Run, which is another crime action movie, and Moonstalker, which is his first horror film, a werewolf movie.
Something evil moves within the forest. Now the legendary beast of X-Men becomes reality. Moonstalker, is it man, beast, or a demon from hell?
I think it is time for me to move on. The forest becomes a little unsettled when I pay too much attention to just one of her trees. And we all know how she reacts when she is angered, don't we?
Daniel Cain, famous hunter, becomes the hunted as he tries to uncover the awesome powers of the supernatural. Fiction can be deadlier than fact, and the young, innocent victims of the macabre.
I would like your opinion on which species of animal's hide this once covered. Wolf.
Fear not, Miss O'Neill. I possess no mystical powers.
Moonstalker, you will pray for the dawn. Moonstalker, now the nightmare begins.
Pretty good, actually. I think Moonstalker is a solid film. It's one of the few that seems to have had any kind of proper release. You know, it's a movie that it feels more like a proper film. I'm not saying that the others aren't proper films, but they're certainly not easily recognised as regular movies, and Moonstalker, I think, is. The next disc contains The Hitman, which is another action movie, and his second horror film, Eye of Satan, which is an occult drama.
Since the beginning of time, man has always had an inherent fear of darkness. The deep belief that hidden within the black chambers of night, terrible and powerful satanic forces are watching and waiting to strike some unsuspecting soul. Now the belief becomes reality in the form of Cain, Satan's disciple.
The power is real. The terror exists. It's here, now, amongst us.
Cain is both man and beast, an indestructible killer, the ultimate assassin and lover. He is the Eye of Satan. He is here amongst us to prepare his master's return.
What's the meaning of this ungodly act? Only the devil's advocate can.
Not as much fun as Moonstalker, has to be said, but still pretty good. And the interesting thing is that he was making these wildly ambitious films with no money. Everybody was working on a wing and a prayer. He had people who knew what they were doing, people who were professionals that were also his mates, helping with set design and special effects and things like that. But it was still all done for nothing, shot in and around Manchester in warehouses. You know, they're probably at least kind of one step up from a home movie. And I'm not saying that in a dismissive way. I don't think there's anything wrong with home movies. I think the idea that somebody could keep on making these feature films that nobody was seeing, and he was doing something that was so interesting and so fascinating. The fact that they didn't always work as commercial movies is neither here nor there. So the next disc contains his science fiction epic Firestar.
It all started a long time ago, long before you were born, when the earth was filled with high forests and green fields. But our story started out there, way out there. Wait here.
Get out, trooper! It's gonna blow!
Again, it's got ambition, and I don't know why these films weren't getting bigger releases, because there's far worse stuff out there that was being released in the 1980s, early 90s. This was a time when a lot of indie companies were just begging for content, so you would have thought somebody would pick this up. I mean, this one has Oliver Tobias and Charles Gray in it. Also on that disc is Tokyo Sunrise, which is a kind of short, incomplete movie. The next disc has GBH 2. Which started out as Lethal Impact, but was a genuine sequel to GBH, wasn't just kind of opportunistically retitled. You know, he's still playing Mike Donovan, it's still following the same story. And also included here is Bad Weekend, which was his final film. It's a short film that was made as a TV pilot, basically. It's like a half-hour TV pilot. I'm not sure that Cliff Twemlow was kind of British TV material, certainly not in the early 90s. There's also some Curiosities in this set, which I'd never kind of connected to Twemlow, even though these probably got a bigger release than any of his actual movies outside of GBH. I certainly used to get the promotional sleeves for all these films, never actually saw any of them, it has to be said. It was Fitness Over 40, The Art of Nude Massage, which were made by his buddy Brian Sterling, and Cliff pops up in them doing nude massage. There are a couple of others that I know that Brian made that I've got sleeves for, all nude workouts. I'm not sure if Cliff actually took part in those. I'm guessing not, because they're not included here, and you would think that if they're going to put The Art of Nude Massage on, they'll probably stick those on as well. Don't expect any great erotic spectacle from these. These are within the very, very soft sex education world. So also included is the Peter Reno tapes, a CD collection of the music that Cliff wrote. He was also recording library music as Peter Reno. It's effectively what made him money. Clearly wasn't making money from the movies. So his most famous track, which is on here, is 'Cause I'm a Man, which popped up on the soundtrack to Dawn of the Dead in 1978, very briefly during the redneck zombie hunting scene. If you've seen Dawn of the Dead, I'm sure you have, then you'll immediately recognise it. Sadly not included here is his version of Live and Let Die, which I think was effectively sued out of existence. And beyond the movies, we've got outtakes, we've got trailers, some making ofs. The packaging is fantastic. It really captures the feel of early 80s British VHS. Exotic enough, I suppose, for American customers, and of course this is a US release. It's far too expensive to release in the UK, thanks to the cost that the BBFC would charge. So this release from Severin/Intervision is fantastic. It's a must-have if you're into outsider cinema, if you're into kind of weird British cult cinema, the underground of British filmmaking, of which there is quite a lot that has never really been explored. I mentioned the Michael J. Murphy set that Indicator put out, which is also a must-have. But there are other people out there as well, people who've been making stuff on Super 8, feature-length stuff, essentially vanished, sitting in film archives, or worse still, stuff is sitting in people's private collections. If you're interested in oddball, eccentric, weird cinema, and I mean genuinely interested, not somebody with just some kind of affectation who watches something that they think is a bit weird or pretend to like cult movies, and I'm sure that's none of you guys out there, then this, I think, is a must-have. You probably won't want to sit down and watch it all in one go. It'd be a very long day if you did that anyway, but I think dipping in from time to time, entering the Cliff Twemlow universe, will be a good thing. And it might also inspire you. If you've ever felt that you'd love to make a movie but you just can't, well, Cliff did, and he didn't really care if people saw them or not, it seems, because he just kept doing it. God bless that man. If you've seen Cliff Twemlow's films, let us know in the comments. Tell me what you think of them. As I keep saying, I know they're not for everyone. And if you've enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you've yet to do so, don't forget to subscribe to Desperate Living so that I can continue to bring you more of the same. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.